Well, good afternoon. Thank you all very much for coming along. My name is James Fairbairn. I'm the founder of Fluoride 3WA. And over here we've got Derek Ruckey, who's the co-founder. And as I say, you've all come through a lot to make it here today. Steaming hot weather, impossible parking, Chinese New Year, the Fringe Festival. So I really do appreciate you all making the effort. What we want to try and do today is just give you an overview of this very important public health issue. But please, whatever you hear today, do not take Derek and my word for it. Please go away, do your own research, make your own informed decision on this. There are many different opinions on this particular subject, and ours is just one of them. Now, just some safety issues. Exits there and there. Please secure your seatbelts tightly. And obviously mobile phones and so forth, please put on silent. We're hoping Apostle Spring will make it. They have promised they're coming on to help sponsor this event, so hopefully we will have water by the end outside for you to all refresh yourselves with fluoride-free water. Thank you also to our other sponsors, USANA Health Sciences and Rhino Economy made a very generous personal donation as well. So this was quite an expensive venue to hire, and we couldn't have done it without their support. So, without further ado, the WA case against fluoride. As it says there, water is for everyone, fluoride is not. Now, to start off with, it's a very brief message from Dr. Paul Connett. Now, Dr. Connett is the founder of the Fluoride Action Network, which is the American campaign group, and he was actually here in this very auditorium 2 years ago today to help launch the campaign. So a very brief introduction from Dr. Connett.
My name is Paul Connett. I'm a retired professor of chemistry. I specialise in environmental chemistry and toxicology whilst teaching at St. Lawrence University in Canton, New York. I've been researching the fluoridation issue and fluoride's toxicity for 16 years. And after 14 years of that research, with 2 other scientists, I produced this book, The Case Against Fluoride. Now, in your conference, you're going to be hearing a lot of the evidence that we presented in this book. In short, fluoridation is neither safe nor effective, and the science underpinning the promotion of fluoridation is very poor indeed. Now, the good news is that fluoridation is as easy to end as turning off a tap, the spigot at the water. So if you've got a strong wrist, the politicians can actually stop fluoridation tomorrow in Perth and throughout Australia. The trouble is, to get that strength in the wrist of the politicians, we need political will. And right now, they don't have that political will. To change that, we need masses of people educated and organised. And hats off to you folks in Perth, because you're doing just that. And what is happening in Perth is that the Perth authorities are doing to everyone in Perth what a doctor, an individual doctor, cannot do to an individual patient, which is to force them to take medicine. And citizens should be confronting their doctors with this. How come, doctor, you are allowing our government to force medicine onto me without my informed consent? How can you stand by silently and let the dentists get away with this? But in actual fact, the dentists have no qualifications on bones, on brains, on the endocrine system, on the thyroid gland, or any other tissue in the body except teeth. All those doctors and public health officials who claim that the evidence is overwhelming, this confidence disappears when somebody who knows something about the arguments is prepared to debate them in public. It's almost like a religion. They believe in fluoridation. I think most dentists in Australia believe in fluoridation because that's all they are taught in dentistry. The mainstream media only give this a fantastically superficial treatment. They go out and quote both sides. They say things like this. The Center of Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia, says that fluoridation is one of the top 10 public health achievements of the 20th century. Then they do their duty and quote Mrs. Clutterbuck from down the road, who thinks that fluoridation is a bad idea. And then they present this to the public as if this is some kind of balanced treatment. We've got over 100 animal studies that indicate that fluoride damages the brain. We have 10 animal studies which shows that fluoride can change behavior. We have 3 fecal studies from China which indicates that fluoride can interfere with the development of the infant's brain, the fetal brain. And we have now 36 studies which indicate an association with fairly modest fluoride exposure and lowered IQ. A child in Australia or a child in America drinking 2 litres of water at 1 part per million, which is the average level used in fluoridation, is going to get more fluoride than one of those Chinese children drinking 1 litre of water at 1.9 parts per million. As I said, this should stop fluoridation in its tracks, but it isn't, because it's a religious crusade on their part.
So, that's in summary what we're going to be talking about today. But before we go any further, we just want to give it a very, very brief history lesson on how this has actually come about. Why are we fluoridating now? What's the history behind it?
Back in 1945, adding fluoride to the public water supply to prevent tooth decay probably seemed like a good idea. A handful of studies had shown that it was effective, and medical experts declared it to be perfectly safe. The producers of the chemical were ecstatic. After all, this was a waste product, a poisonous byproduct of phosphate fertilizer manufacturing, something they had to pay to get rid of. Now, they could sell it instead. And so, with the enthusiastic support of the chemical industry, local water departments were encouraged to add fluoride to public water supplies. Studies appeared to show great benefits from fluoridation. The American Dental Association and other groups became strongly supportive. Everyone believed the effort was a resounding success. Supporters called fluoridation one of the 10 great public health achievements of the 20th century. The notion that fluoridated water reduced tooth decay was promoted by constant repetition and soon became an accepted axiom of public health. But was it true?
Good question. Was it true? And as you say, it is an accepted fact that you talk to medical professionals and they go, fluoridation, it works, it's good for your teeth. You talk to many people and they go, but my teeth are way better now than my parents' generation. But is that actually caused by the fluoride in the drinking water or other factors? And are there other issues at stake here? Slides are going slower than I expected. So, what's the situation here in Western Australia? We've had fluoridation in our water now since 1966. Now, this was the last time that anyone could be said to have given their informed consent. Anybody who was born before March 1948, anybody in the room born before then, lived in WA at the time? 1948? No? So we actually have nobody in this room who actually voted in that election. Well, that's the last time that anybody voted for a politician who legislated to fluoridate your water. Since then, it has been overseen by a body called the Fluoridation Public Water Committee of Western Australia. Now, this committee not only keeps its identity secret, but doesn't publish its minutes, and all it does is basically meet 3 or 4 times a year and advise the Minister of Health that fluoridation is safe. At the end of the day, they are not going to be the turkeys that vote for Christmas, are they? And vote themselves out of a nice, cushy job. So they keep repeating the same mantra, fluoride is safe, there's nothing to worry about here. And they advise the Minister of Health, who currently is Dr. Kim Hames, that it's completely safe. And Kim Hames then repeats it because his medical experts are telling him this. The problem is we have this self-fulfilling prophecy now that it's not going to change because they're never going to say there's any danger, so it's always going to happen. And ultimately, this is what our campaign is about. The only way we are going to stop this happening is by Parliament repealing that 1966 Act. And the only way that's going to happen is by parliamentarians actually being allowed to debate this. Now, Dr. Kim Hames sent me a letter about a year ago, and in it he quite categorically said parliamentarians should not be given a choice on this.